Sorry about the technical difficulties there when we launched. We had an update on one of our computers, so kind of messed things up. But we are excited to be back in studio here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We just came back from Nashville, so the conference there. A lot to unpack. We're going to give you a quick rundown of what to expect for the U.S. policy and the positioning that the U.S. candidates are taking. You got Trump taking the hardline stance on being the crypto president, or at least if you're for crypto, vote for him. You have RFK, the independent, the one running as independent, and he is all in on Bitcoin. I mean, he was very, very aggressive, probably the most aggressive position, at least more so than Donald Trump. And then also Kamala Harris coming out, flipping the script and saying, hey, you know what? We are going to reset on crypto. We're going to try to rebuild relationships, or at least that's kind of the vibe. But will that actually play out? Because, well, you know what? There's 6 months here. So the way I look at it with Kamala, you've been in office for 3.5 years. You're still got another 6 months. So if you want to make right with crypto, well, let's start right now before the election comes up. Now, lots to unpack. We also got the Ethereum ETF, was live for a week or just shy of that. Also, what is going on with the U.S.? We had just had a giant move of one of the largest wallets, the U.S.-based wallet, has just moved the funds. So are they trying to sabotage this strategic reserve? Very interesting. And then also we have some Bitcoin price predictions. We have, what is the price of Bitcoin going to be 20 years from now? I know it's a little weird forecasting that far, but we do have one of the smartest minds in crypto giving his thoughts on that as well. Without further ado, let's just get right into it. And then, yeah. It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, and stale information and repackage that whole thing up in a fun and sexy way. Only me today on the desk, but I do have Rocco joined here. Me and Rocco are both out there at Bitcoin
Hello, guys.
Nashville, so we were excited to give you updates there. What a tremendous environment. Lots of news to unpack. I mean, it was no shortage of bullish sentiment. The fact that Bitcoin hasn't got to new all-time highs yet is absolutely astounding to me. I think that, what else would you want but a presidential candidate, or two of them, one that is, arguably the favorite to win and be our next president, Donald Trump, former president, basically saying like, hey, man, U.S. is going to buy and never sell Bitcoin. I mean, literally his words was, don't sell your Bitcoin. So that was an interesting takeaway. Then also a lot of love to the chat. So since I have nobody else here at my desk, I ask you in the chat to throw some questions in there. Let's have a little bit more of interaction with the chat. Let me know if you went to Bitcoin Nashville, what you thought, or if you just saw some of the big headlines and you watched any of the interviews. Let me know what your takeaway were from this weekend. And then a lot of fun activity on Bitcoin. I say fun, I mean a lot of volatility. We went up and just touched 70K briefly, and then smack right back down. And so, are we going to see new all-time highs? I think all-time highs are going to happen this week. I think that, we're just flirting here with 70K, kind of testing the waters. But I do think that this week we're going to go up above that. And I mean, you see here on the 24-hour chart from 68,000, and we briefly went up and hit 70,000. It's not listed here on this chart, but on some of the exchanges, it was $70,000 Bitcoin for a few short minutes, but that got rejected and came all the way down to 66. So it's currently at 67,000. How high will this market go? And lots of interesting movements on the altcoins as well. And so you got the Bitcoin by proxy or Bitcoin category tokens are really up to date. And so it's kind of strange, right? So if you look back at, so Bitcoin by the percentage up 1% on 24 hours, straight flat on the week. But then you look at Bitcoin SV up 14% today. Also, Bitcoin Cash up 8.8% today. And so, could this bullish news coming out of Bitcoin Nashville have really rallied the Bitcoin SV and Bitcoin Cash? I mean, the obvious answer is yes. I mean, what other narrative would push these two? These are two dead chains. If you're a fan of these, I'm sorry, but you've been replaced by the real Bitcoin. There was at some point during the block wars some kind of like, hey, which one are the miners going to get behind? Are they going to get behind the original chain or this fork here that has a larger block size? It makes sense. The miners chose. They went with the original blockchain, and then this fork just ended up dying. So, with that said, I do want to get off to the big headline articles today. We're gonna start off. So I'm gonna just give you a little sneak peek of what we're gonna get to here, and then we're going to work our way up to this one. Okay, so I'm gonna unpack this, but here at where we're going. The United States government moves $2 billion worth of Silk Road Bitcoin to unknown wallets. 2 wallets to be exact. We're going to get back to this in here in a second. But very interesting, right? Okay, so don't freak out. It's not confirmed if they're trying to sell or diversify. Well, I have a theory, or at least someone else does, and I subscribe to the idea. But all right, let's get into it. So you got Donald Trump, the headline speaker. The first former president or first time a president has came up and spoke at this conference. First of all, let me tell you, absolutely speaks volumes for where we're at, right? I mean, just a couple years ago, there was just last year. Okay, how about this? Last year's Bitcoin conference 2023 in Miami, pretty lackluster. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. They did have a few headline speakers that were, kind of big, but you had Michael Saylor, a handful of other people, but realistically, the conference itself was pretty small, right? It was a small environment, and you pretty much could walk the whole conference in about 30 minutes. And so now a lot larger, a lot more big headline names over here speaking. You had President Trump. You also had the candidate RFK. You had multiple political leaders, congressmen. You had what else did we have? We had the bill proposed, and so you had Edward Snowden speaking as well, Michael Saylor, and so just a lot of news unpack, and then also a lot of companies came out and made some big announcements as well, and we'll get to those in a second, but. First, before I get too far ahead of myself, Rocco, what was your vibe on the conference? What did you come away with? What did you enjoy the most from the conference?
The energy was there. It was a beautiful organized conference, different from the one in Miami, of course. Maybe I'm gonna say the Miami one was bigger, in the sense of the way they stand, the booths. I saw that we were missing the biggest name on the floor, like the Coinbase. I didn't see, the only was BitPay there. I didn't see any other major exchange, Gemini, or anything like that. Even if they were, and the only one that actually organized something, didn't have a booth inside, but was the festival outside, was Robinhood, which I guess is a little neutral now. Was no Crypto.com. So big difference. But it's true that it was smaller, but I guess the energy as the meaning of this Nashville conference was completely a different level. You can compare with anything in the past. So the fact that you have the candidate, an ex-president, talking for the first time at a Bitcoin conference is an amazing news per se. And the statement and on the speech, the remarks, the highlight, what the plan is going to be, that's amazing. And Kamala, if you really want to go and change the narrative of the crypto, just fight Gary Gensler right now. So, don't wait.
I'll say this, Kamala was asked to speak Donald Trump kind of signed up in the last, I think, 2 to 3 weeks. So it was kind of a last minute thing. And then she was just vice president. She was just the vice president candidate on the ticket with Joe Biden as president just a little over a week ago. So I'll say this, like, you know what, it's if you're campaigning, in less than a week to go and speak at a conference, it might be a large ask. We would have liked her to see her shuffle her schedule around and get there.
Even though
there's a schedule, but then you can go where I think that's just the easy answer, right? But then my perspective is she didn't go because, well, she's not pro crypto. And I mean, I think that's where it is. And now, will she reverse her stance? Will the Democrats come in and embrace crypto and try to get that crypto vote? I think that they're going to. Now, I don't know how far leaning they're going to go into crypto, but I mean, they don't have much to gain by shutting
my
down.
My opinion is that she lost an opportunity. Because if you want to have a confront, there is a few months away from the election. If you want to, I guess, win as much as possible as a people as possible in a short period of time. This was a big event for the crypto community, of course. If you look at in the rest of the world, nobody cares about crypto, perhaps, but there is a lot of money behind it. So maybe if you want some extra money for your, short version of this collecting money for the election that is coming. I think that
I'll say this, here's the little statement. Now, it wasn't a public statement. This was just inside information, but Kamala Harris seeks to reset crypto relations. And so, here you have the Kamala Harris advisors approach top crypto companies to, quote unquote, reset relationships between her Democratic Party and the sector. There's two ways I look at this, or at least this ideology. Who were the biggest donors to the Democratic nominee previous election? Biden. It was number 2, I think, was FTX last time around.
Yeah. And
so, there's a lot of money to be made for campaigning from crypto, and that number is growing as well. Last bull market cycle, last election, we saw a lot of money going into campaigning, and this time around, the sector has grown even more so. So there's a lot more money than there was before, and now what are these candidates going to do? Are they going to just let that money slip through their fingers? And also those voters, I mean, we have, I think it was 137 million United States voters, or 137 million people in the United States. Whether or not they're registered voters, I'm not sure. But these are people that have some form of interaction with crypto, whether they've bought a meme coin or crypto, or like Bitcoin, or simply opened up an account with Coinbase. And so there's a lot of interest there. A lot of people that represent the crypto ecosystem. Maybe they're not quite as many degens as you would like to see, but these swing states, these states are going to be won by historically in the past we've seen elections, like you look at Florida with Bush a few elections ago. He won by less than, I think it was 600 votes. So the entire election rested on one state with less than 600 votes that were recounted a bunch of times, and then Bush ended up winning office that year. And so it shows you that, just it doesn't take much, right? And so a large sector here. But let's get into what we saw. So Bitcoin, Nashville. We'll start off with Trump. Now, Trump came out and he says that he will embrace cryptocurrency as part of a plan to become the Bitcoin president. And so, I don't have anything highlighted because I've watched his speech probably 5 times. And so here are a few takeaways, right? Trump says, first of all, he's going to fire Gary Gensler. I think that was a
bold statement, and even reaffirmed that when the people start to clap, and they were very loud during the speech. And then he said, "Oh, you really don't like this guy. Okay, let me say it again." He actually said, "Oh, yeah, I didn't know you didn't like this
you
guy."
guys had to have been there to really feel that energy. And it even caught Trump off guard. You know, he was over here. He's like, I'm going to fire Gary Gensler. And the whole place erupted, man. Everyone got out of seat. They're clapping, you know, people throwing water bottles. It was absolute craziness. And then Trump's like, whoa, he couldn't even talk. He had to give like 30-second pause. And then it was like, I didn't realize you guys didn't like Gary that much. And so quite comical where how that reaction played out. He even went and repeated the statement again. So you had that. And then he discussed his positioning on crypto and what he plans on doing. So day one, fire Gary Gensler. Also, he's going to create a committee, an executive branch council that is going to be an advisory council for crypto and Bitcoin regulation, and not just how to regulate crypto, but how to bring it back to the U.S., right? And so his idea is like, hey, we're going to get the smartest minds in crypto on a committee. And then from there, not only are we going to make it easier for companies to operate, but we're going to incentivize crypto adoption, companies, exchanges, the development of this technology to be done here in the United States. Let's think about how many people are working on coding and on blockchain technology. I mean, how many developers there are. We know that if you're a developer in crypto, you're probably not working in the U.S. You're probably overseas somewhere. So let's bring those jobs here. I know that's what he was saying. He wants to have the crypto industry working and crypto jobs here in the United States. And then he also came out and said, hey, under his administration, there will be no CBDCs. So no central bank digital currency. Basically, we're not gonna fight against the stable coins. We're not gonna go out and try to create one from the central bank and then monitor and regulate. Now we're not gonna touch on the downsides of a CBDC and all of the privacy concerns that is related to it, but he understands it, and it's very interesting, right? Because you know, on one end, it kind of makes sense if you see the private sector basically minting dollars. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing. I mean, they're reserved, they're buying T-bills, but at the end of the day, you know, we're creating dollars and we're using those to operate our crypto industry. We know that most of the time when you buy crypto, you buy it through a stable coin. And so, you know, the obvious choice there would be, hey, you know, if we're going to mint dollars and why let the private sector do it? Let the U.S. do it. Let the Treasury Department do it, right? But you know, where comes convenience, you also get some privacy concerns and overreach, and you know, taking advantage of the market. So glad to see that Trump is taking a hard stance on not going down the CBDC lane. Also, he talked about passing a progressive legislation for stable coins, right? And so he realizes that the stablecoin industry is a huge part of the U.S. economy. He says that he doesn't want Bitcoin, or his ideology is that Bitcoin doesn't threaten the dollar. It's that U.S. policies and the government and the elected officials that are in office, they're the ones that threaten the dollar through their policies, and that Bitcoin's really not a threat. And then he goes out to say that, hey, actually, Bitcoin is going to help the dollar.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, it's going to help the dollar. So, you know, back the financial system with a hard asset like Bitcoin, and you know, you're going to have a better monetary policy. Also, he said they're going to have a strategic reserve of Bitcoin, and for that, you know, we know that the United States has 240,000 Bitcoin, right? And so they got 250,000 Bitcoin. And so we always discuss like, hey, you know, when is the U.S. going to sell? They have sold Bitcoin in the past, and you know, are they going to sell that Bitcoin? Has always been kind of something that's been up in the air. So Trump said, hey, look, first thing we're going to do, and his words were, we are not going to sell our Bitcoin. He said, you know what, the motto of Bitcoin is that you don't sell your Bitcoin. And so he's not going to sell any Bitcoin. He's going to take that position that the U.S. has through forfeitures and seizures, and he was gonna move that into a reserve. And then from there, they were going to buy more Bitcoin. And also he came out and said that any Bitcoin that they do receive in the future, they're not going to sell either. So any other forfeitures or seizures that they have for the U.S., they're going to keep all that Bitcoin as well. Now, you also had the Ross Ulbricht. So Donald Trump, Ross Ulbricht was the founder of Silk Road. He was imprisoned over 10 years ago, back in 2013. Silk Road is kind of like a marketplace, similar to Craigslist, if you're familiar with that. And it's a marketplace where you can buy goods or exchange services, and the currency they used was Bitcoin. But in the early days, there was a lot of fraud and also a lot of drugs sold there, as well as like human trafficking. Now, Ross did not. He wasn't the one selling that stuff. He just created the marketplace and then got imprisoned for it. So Trump said he's going to excommunicate his sentence and going to have him released. He's done 10 years. That's enough time. And so that's pretty refreshing. Now, also, you had RFK. RFK came out and he had his keynote speech. He was a little bit more bullish on Bitcoin and the U.S. position. And so he's saying that Bitcoin is vital to the dollar stability. And he says he wants the U.S. to have 4 million Bitcoin. So, he wants to have, 20% of the supply of Bitcoin, basically, which, you would have to aggressively buy Bitcoin. And he says that he would like to purchase 550 Bitcoin daily once elected. Now,
no, sorry if I laugh, but it's make me think about we were making jokes about El Salvador like 3 years ago. Oh, what are they going to do about it? We're going to buy 1 Bitcoin a day. Forget about it. It's nothing.
Yeah, man.
There's a little drop in the ocean. And now we have a possible candidate, a candidate that is possible president that is planned to purchase like 550 Bitcoin a day.
Yeah,
just saying, making fun of El Salvador, but somebody has to start it.
Yeah, man, it's very interesting. You have.
I intend.
Here you go. I'll just play
as
the
President of the United States to sign an executive order on day one, directing the Department of Justice and the U.S. Marshals to transfer the approximately 200,000 Bitcoin held by the U.S. government to the United States Treasury, where it will be held as a strategic asset. On day one as president, I will sign another executive order directing the U.S. Treasury to purchase 550 Bitcoin daily until the U.S. has built a reserve of at least 4 million Bitcoins.
There it is. Now, pretty electric speech there from Mr. Kennedy. And then to follow up the Trump speech, you also had Cynthia Lummis. So these are promises by the candidates, right? You had Trump saying, hey, when I get in office, I'm going to do this. RFK says, when I get in, day one, we're going to buy this amount. Well, hey, it's in paper. It's here. And so you have Cynthia Lummis. She took the stage and proposed a bill, right? So the bill was in her hand. It was written. It was drafted. It's good to go. All we got to do is submit it to the House, which then will be voted, go to the Senate, and then executive branch has to sign off on it. It'll take some time. I figure the next candidate will already be in office by the time this happens anyways. But so Cynthia Lummis basically says that over time, the U.S. aims to build up. And now this is per the bill that she has drafted. They're going to buy 1 million Bitcoins, a little shy of what RFK was saying, but it's pretty damn bullish. That's 1/20th of all the Bitcoin, basically. Now, that's going to be about 5% of the Bitcoin. Now, what was interesting was a couple other takeaways from her speech, right? Her speech was only about 5 minutes long. It's pretty short and simple, but a bill. Hey, U.S., we're going to get 1 million Bitcoin. We're going to take that 240,000 Bitcoin. We're going to move it straight into the strategic reserve right off the bat. And then we're going to buy that the remaining amount of Bitcoin over the course of 5 years, right? So for 5 years, that's how long they're going to take to buy the Bitcoin. And then after the Bitcoin's accumulated, they're not allowed to sell it for 20 years. So per the bill, the Bitcoin is not even allowed to be sold for 20 years. And then after 20 years, this is very interesting, is that the Bitcoin that if they do decide to sell it, the only thing they can sell it for is to pay down the national debt. So quite interesting. I do have here the debt calculator. So this is all of the U.S. debt here, and it breaks down in all a million different rolling numbers here that is just climbing exponentially because of interest. But you can see here in the top left, here you have the United States debt at a grand total of $35 trillion. And so she estimates that with the projections of Bitcoin's price accumulation and the trajectory that it's on, that they could theoretically sell all of their Bitcoin in 20 years and completely pay off the U.S. debt. And that's the only thing that the Bitcoin can be sold for. So quite bullish there. And then also you have, let's see here. I was going to say, okay, so now we got to where we're at. So that was on Saturday, right? We had yesterday and today. So 2 days later, all of a sudden, we get this. The United States government moves $2 billion worth of Bitcoin from the Silk Road, the one we were just talking about, and they moved it to 2 wallets. And so here you have, this is per Arkham, and Arkham has broken it down to, the U.S. has split the $2 billion into 2 addresses, one with 10,000 Bitcoin and another with 19,800 Bitcoin. And they just moved all of that. So roughly $2 billion there has moved. And so a lot of people right now are freaking out. And so if you go to X or you just look at any of the social media, and the big narrative right now is, hey, what's the U.S. doing here? Are they going to sell? Like, Donald Trump and RFK came out and said they're going to move that Bitcoin to the strategic reserve. Is the Democrats, are they coming in and trying to position or sabotage that whole plan? Are they trying to sell the Bitcoin before someone else gets in office just to foil their plans? Like, you want to move? Oh my God,
that would be the dumbest move ever.
That would be
surpass the Germany for a mile. That would be the worst thing ever.
Part of me is like, this can't be real life. Like, this can't be real.
No, I hope not.
And so
I hope you're wrong, really.
So Kamala's coming out here and saying that, hey, we're trying to reset our position. Now, what do you what does reset mean for you? Power down and turn back on, right? Reset be like, let's sell everything and start over again, right? Like, is that what she means by reset? I hope to God not.
Hope no.
But where is this going? So here's an opinion by James Safer, who, by the way, I ran into down there at Bitcoin Nashville. So really fun running into you. But James Safer has said, hey, this was about a month ago. I don't know if we did briefly cover it, but U.S. Marshals Service chooses Coinbase to safeguard trade. It's the large cap digital assets portfolio. Keyword here, safeguard. And so, but then the other keyword here is trade as well. So, so after a comprehensive process, the U.S. Marshals Service, a division of the U.S. Department of Justice, selected Coinbase Prime as its partner to safeguard and trade, aka sell, digital assets. And so I hope it's the safeguard, man. I genuinely hope, because I mean, what do you guys think in the chat? I want to know what do you guys think when you see 240,000 Bitcoin move a wallet as stayed still for a while. I don't exactly know how long, but you think they're trying to sell? Put a 1 in the chat if you think that the Democrats, Kamala Harris, whoever the hell is running the show down there, if they're planning on selling this Bitcoin, are they moving it to sell it? Maybe not all of it. Maybe they want to. Maybe they split it into 2 wallets because they want to sell one of them. What do you guys think? Put a 1 in the chat if you think they're selling. Put a 2 in the chat if they are moving it for long-term storage, right? Maybe Kamala Harris is going to come out and say, hey, you know what? Because they have 6 months before the new president comes in, right? Or Kamala steps up. There is the election in October. November.
So what?
And so do you think that she's moving it now to say, hey, we've moved our Bitcoin to long-term storage custodied by Coinbase? Because you can simply say, hey, we want to move that Bitcoin away from the marshals. We don't want the Justice Department to have the Bitcoin anymore, and we want to move it to long-term storage. That makes a lot of sense, right? It makes a lot of sense for me. If I was Kamala Harris and I wanted to reset, and I see that both the other candidates are saying they're going to have a reserve of Bitcoin and they're going to use the Justice Department's Bitcoin, don't you think that if you're trying to be ahead of the game, like, hey, you know what? Let me just do that now, and then that plan's out the window for them.
I don't
right?
know. I don't know.
I hope so.
Because they make me think so.
I hope so.
When they do have a big buzz for drugs and stuff, they destroy it, right? So they don't go back in circulation. They're gonna do the same thing. I don't know what they're gonna do with this. They're just gonna send a burn to an address nobody can access anymore and burn it all. I don't know.
I don't know.
I hope they don't.
We're in an interesting time right now.
Reset is a scary word. I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Reset.
I told you, man. I'm like, what do you mean reset? Like, hold on. We reset our computers here, did an update. We saw what happened with that. So, and it's interesting because, you got people in office right now that are actively trying to destroy crypto. And so does Kamala side on that side? Because the United States executive branch, Joe Biden, he vetoed SOB 121 bill, right? They had repealed the damn bill. They took it out. They said, SEC, you're over-regulating it, the industry. Banks and institutions can't touch crypto. And this isn't a law. This is just the SEC saying, not on my watch. And so the legislative branch, Congress, both the House and the Senate, repeal the damn thing. They voted on it. And then Biden comes in, vetoes the damn thing, says, nope.
Yeah, probably.
And Kamala Harris is part of that. Is part of that camp, that team. And who else is part of that team is Elizabeth Warren. She alleges foreign governments use crypto mining facilities to spy on military operations. I don't think she really realizes how crypto works. Man, where's that video? About it? You know what? I'll find a video on it, but
I don't know.
Bro, I'm just like, how is?
I mean, if they really want to
real
change,
life?
But if they really want to change the stand on crypto, I think this is a better way. I mean, they can have Kamala definitely lost an opportunity, in my opinion. Even if it wasn't prepared enough, I mean, they do have a big staff around them. They can prepare them a speech, and but you gotta agree with the ideology on the crypto per se. I'm surprised they didn't take that chance. And imagine if she went there and say, we're going to change everything. We understood that we were wrong. And she was saying, let's say on the speech, Gary Gensler, you're fired in front of everybody. Imagine what would have happened. Everybody would be jumping out of their seat. And she can have it because Gary Gensler is going to be out of office anyway. And maybe going to put somebody else. So no loss in there. He did a terrible job, but as a stunt for the just getting vote, there would be something easy. That kind of shows that the mentality is the ideology of the crypto adoption is not there yet. I think it was a lost opportunity. Now, also, Trump, when he went up there, he said that Bitcoin will go to the moon. That was fun. Everybody started clapping, and I thought it was funny. It was kind of cynic in certain aspect. It was making fun, and but you definitely can't say this man knows how to move the crowd, how to talk to a crowd. You may don't agree or for certain things what he says, but 99% on the speech was common sense. That's what it really was, common sense. You throw away money. Why you want to throw away money? The technology is being adopted around the world. Why we are not on top of it? Why we're gonna be the last wheel? We are the biggest economy on the world. Why we don't do it? So just common sense. Did you find the video that you were looking for?
I think so. It's 5 minutes. It's a little long. I'm not exactly sure where it's at, but let's just play it here.
Increasingly, foreign companies are building crypto mining facilities on U.S. soil. These mines are actually warehouses stuffed with computers that process crypto transactions and produce new crypto tokens. They're loud, they're hot, and they suck up a ton of electricity, which can crash the power grid. And that's why many countries have banned crypto mining, leading more foreign companies to set up shop here in the United States. According to a blockchain analytics firm, today 1/3 of crypto mining facilities in the U.S. are owned by citizens of the People's Republic of China, including people with direct ties to the Chinese government. Now, crypto mining is a disaster for the environment, and it can pose national security risks as well. In May, at CFIUS's recommendation, President Biden issued an order requiring the Chinese national owners of a crypto mining facility in Wyoming called Mine One to divest their ownership and remove the crypto mining equipment from the premises. Assistant Secretary Rosen, you're the head of CFIUS, so you oversaw the investigation into Mine One and told the president that the divestment was essential. The divestment order cited two primary factors. One, the technology inside Mine One could be used for surveillance. And two, Mine One was located 1 mile from a strategic missile base housing intercontinental ballistic missiles. So I want to ask you, could the equipment inside that crypto mine have been used to spy on our military operations and our nuclear weapons system?
Senator, thank you for the question. And I think pointing out this case in particular, I'm limited in terms of what I can say about this particular transaction. But to answer your question, there is a generalized concern that sophisticated equipment in proximity to sensitive facilities can be used for espionage.
Okay, so can be used.
I was waiting for the. It is true the Chinese, with a mining operation next to the missile bay, they can strike and store all the information. Listen, that's not. This lady is absolutely out of his mind. I mean, if you have a mining operation, it's because probably, not most probably, you gotta prove to have a next to somewhere else other
There's
place.
some missile codes in here somewhere.
Launch it, Rob. Go for it. Launch it right now. 3, 4.
There's a missile code in here. I just gotta.
Let's spy it to the
Find it.
neighbor. Let's see what the neighbor is
I don't
doing.
know, man.
Plug it in.
China.
Is there?
China.
Yes. No, you gotta see through.
This is not a spying. You cannot spy with this. It's an ASIC. It's designed to run an algorithm to mine Bitcoin. That's what it does. There's no monitor. There's nothing. Stop it.
Yeah. Yeah, she always tried to twist the word anyway.
I'm just scared that she's whispering in Kamala's ear, and I think that there are other people that are in the same boat as she is that are in office right now. God help us, man.
Yeah, it is.
Hopefully the Democrats, the Biden camp, wakes up. You know who else wanted to weigh in on the U.S. position with crypto was Justin Sun. So Justin Sun, founder of Tron, he came out and said, "Hey, China also needs to step up since President Trump pushed for Bitcoin. U.S. policies have warmed. China should make further progress in this area. Competition between China and the U.S. with Bitcoin policy would benefit the entire industry." Not always siding with Justin Sun here. Spotty record, I'll just say that. But there's no denying the fact that if there's an arms race for crypto, well, everybody wins that's in our sector. You watching your portfolio is gonna go crazy, man. We will probably see that $500,000, $1 million Bitcoin. If China and the U.S. are actively the two largest economies, they're pretty damn neck and neck as well. The two largest economies globally, if they're vying for the limited amount of Bitcoin out there, just understand that supply and shock it's going to shoot the price of Bitcoin up to some crazy levels. And so that's not the only country, too. I mean, here it seems like everybody is getting behind this Bitcoin craze. Qatar, an absolute giant financial powerhouse, one of the Middle Eastern countries. Now they're revisiting their crypto stance. So they banned crypto back in 2018. And so Qatar is making strides towards establishing regulatory framework of digital assets, banned Bitcoin trading in 2018. But recently, last year, the Qatari finance regulators proposed frameworks to regulate investment tokens backed by tangible assets. So we see that the narrative is changing. It's shifting. The U.S. is changing their position, or at least the upcoming candidates are. Hopefully, Kamala joins that as well. And, we talk about price and what to expect from Bitcoin if nations are fighting. But just if you take the progression of Bitcoin right now, the accumulation of price, this cycle, the supply and demand, the ETF, that alone, outside of U.S. and China fighting for Bitcoin, you have, and Michael Saylor, he's coming out and he's like, hey, man, you know what? Michael Saylor predicts Bitcoin could be worth $13 million per coin in 2045. So another amazing keynote speech by Saylor. And so, he came out and said, hey, by 2045, this thing's going to get to, I think, $13 million. And so I do have here.
I saw that one.
Yeah, I got a little breakdown.
Yeah.
And so during his keynote, he had little slides up there, and he had this one. And so here, 21-year price forecast. So he was saying his base case, 13 million. His bullish scenario for Bitcoin would be roughly $50 million per Bitcoin just 20 years from now, right? And then even the bear case, $3 million Bitcoin. And so if you think about that now, you think about, hey, I can get a what is so a 5x on Bitcoin from here is 300,000. So 50x, right? So you can expect a 50x from Bitcoin in a retirement account if you're looking out 20 years, even in the most bearish case scenario, which is far exceeding any retirement portfolio you have now. You're not going to 50x your retirement portfolio that you have now. Like, it's not going to happen. You're going to put away for retirement. You put away $500,000. You might have 5 million or so when you go to retire 20 years later. But even in the most bearish situation, $3 million, a 50x from where we're at right now, pretty damn bullish, right? I mean, it makes, if you have zero exposure to Bitcoin, you need to at least start layering in a little bit. You got to start buying some kind of Bitcoin in some form, right? Now, I play around with altcoins. I think that crypto in its entirety, the ecosystem is going to thrive. There's a lot of second guessing. There's a lot of uncertainty on what this market's going to develop into. But one thing I do know is that Bitcoin ain't going nowhere, and the price is just going to keep going up. And even in the most bearish scenario, a 50x 20 years from now is probably like pretty much stamped in, right? Minus some kind of.
I think it's going to even worth more because that's the
bear case.
But not in, because I'm thinking more in not in a dollar amount. It's more like it's going to worth more in the way that maybe we're going to probably start to transfer.
I agree.
In Satoshi instead.
If
more in 20 years from now, I think so you will be able to buy more stuff with it. So where the dollar is they going to go neck to neck, I guess.
If a nation has, let's say, 3 million Bitcoin, right? We saw numbers of 4 million Bitcoin by RFK. If there's some kind of arms race, so if one company, or excuse me, one country owns, let's say, 2 to 3 million Bitcoin, I mean, how much Bitcoin is going around? You have the Bitcoin that's already lost, right? It's rumored it's somewhere around 20 to 30% of the Bitcoin is gone forever, right? Burned, or wallet addresses are lost. And
I think it's going to solve also another problem. It's, right now they create a brick. So the new kind of money, so they want to go away from the dollar. But let's say you have the biggest reserve of dollar on the planet, so then they want to do business with you because you have, it's like having a gold reserve, but you have the Bitcoin reserve. So you're sure that if you have a debt with this country, you're going to get somehow, you are sure that you're going to be paid back.
Yeah.
So
the way I look at it is I think the forecasts, I think that those numbers are misrepresented because I think that inflation is going to run very rampant in the next, 20 years. So
the $3 million
next 20 years, $1 million is going to be like probably the average salary, right? And so to simply say like, hey, you know what, 20 years from now, $3 million per Bitcoin, I think that's way misrepresented because I think the $1 million is going to be typical, right? I don't think you're going to be able to buy a house for $1 million. I don't think that you're going to be able to, your cars are probably going to be $100,000 to $300,000 per car at that price.
And I think if you're going to have, let's say, 1 Bitcoin at that point, they're probably going to have some financial service that you can stack it to get interest.
Yeah, I look at it this way. If, with these numbers, if you have, I would say 5 Bitcoin, I think you're pretty much set, man. If you can accumulate 5 Bitcoin in the next 10 years, I think that you will be financially free, and you and your family can live comfortably without having any financial worries, right? I think that you can always draw on that. You can borrow on it. You could sell if need be. But I think that in the next 5 years, the next 5 to 10 years, you accumulate 5 Bitcoin. You're pretty much set, man. You're pretty much set. I do want to give a big shout out to Jimmy, gifted 20 memberships. And so to you, Jimmy, thank you so much. It was a pleasure hanging out with you in Bitcoin Nashville. I wish I would have been able to spend a little more time with you. I was kind of running around the whole city trying to meet people. Also, Billy Goattails gave a $5 super chat. Says hilarious. And so, big shout out to the community, man. Very excited for you. Also, I think actually it's a great time to bring this up. And then also Ricky Romero, $5 super chat. He said, what do you think about Illuvium and Aerodome, Rob? Now, big fan of Web3 and gaming. We're going to have a lot more coverage on gaming here in the future. We are tailoring our studio to have more of a live stream coverage, almost like an esports kind of feel. And so it's going to be a focus of ours here in the near future. and we're talking to some gaming studios on giving you more of that content. So we're excited about that. But to wrap up our kind of our talks on Bitcoin Nashville, the next Bitcoin conference is going to be in Las Vegas. So that got announced. So May 25th through May 27th, Bitcoin is going to be here at the home of Sin City Crypto, Las Vegas. So we are so excited to have the conference here. I can't even begin to tell you, like, we are already planning. And so to kick this thing off, we have already started working with the Bitcoin conference. And so we're one of their partners. I think their first partner. And so, guys, we got tickets for you already. If you want to get early tickets to Bitcoin Las Vegas 2025, May 27th, 28th, and 29th. Excuse me, I know I told you the 25th earlier. So the 27th through the 29th, we'll be here. If you go down to the description, you will find a link there to this website. And you also can use the coupon code OLA, O-L-A, for 10% off of your ticket. It also helps us as well. And so I want to know, do you plan on coming to Bitcoin Las Vegas? And if you are, I would highly recommend you pick up tickets early, because the tickets were $900 per person at the very, very end of last, because the prices go up as the conference is closer. So it was at about $900 the week of. You can pick up your passes for $210 right here. So and then you're going to get your discount code with OLA. So less than $200, you can pick up your Bitcoin passes. And so I was talking to the guys there. I said, hey man, I was like, I know our community, we're going to be one of your biggest affiliates here. We're going to sell more tickets than anybody else. I gave them my promise on that. Also, we're going to have a mansion out here. We're going to rent a mansion. So we're going to have parties, meetups for the community. We're going to have tours here. We're going to have interviews in studio. And we're also going to have other announcements to make coming. We've already talked to several companies. So go and get your tickets. It's less than $200. Come on, get it now. Support us. And if you do, send me a DM. If you buy a ticket, I will personally shout you out for the next couple weeks. You buy a ticket, you tell me you bought a ticket. We'll give you a shout out on the show. And not to mention, I'm just really excited to have it here in Vegas. I'm really excited to meet the community. And what a better place to have it than here in Las Vegas. And so let's sell some tickets, man. We never sell tickets to conferences just because, I don't know, it hasn't been our thing yet, but it's an absolute no-brainer. So we're going to absolutely sell tickets here. And then lastly, we did have a Wall Street's Cantor Fitzgerald to open up Bitcoin financing and lending business. So they are going, the CEO of Howard Lutnick, so the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, he was speaking at the Bitcoin conference. He said they're going to launch a $2 billion lending fund. They're going to welcome Bitcoin into financing family of global financial markets. And then you also had Riot and all these big companies were up over 5% on the news. So, the Wall Street is reacting pretty favorably to this crypto news. And then we also had Rand Neuner was talking or interviewing Tucker Carlson, or he was in the press, so he was asking questions. And so Tucker Carlson was even talking about, and there's a Trump Jr. there, but Tucker was even coming out and talking about crypto. So
because I'm actually legit, I'm not just here to entertain. Like, I actually am really interested in this, and I am really rooting for it. What's a cold wallet? I'm like, I can barely operate an iPhone. You got to try harder to make it easier for me. You need to offer me, I don't know who I'm even speaking to, but like anyone who promotes crypto needs to make it easy for people who are 55 and not interested in technology like me, but really care about freedom, to preserve our own wealth in a way that people like Justin Trudeau and Joe Biden cannot freeze it. The second there's a protest leader in this or any other country who can continue to receive funds from supporters in defiance of the powers he's opposing, that person will be the most inspiring.
And I'll say that what we're seeing right now in Venezuela with the political system and the riots and the kind of the backlash on the what they're deeming as voter fraud and manipulation, is something that we're not new to here in the States. No, will we find ourselves in a situation where a political leader is shut off from the banking system and they bring in Bitcoin? Now, that's what Tucker Carlson's saying. He's like, hey, we want a UI interface that's friendly for people that aren't quite as tech savvy, that don't understand seed phrases and all that. And, we're going to make it more simple. That's coming. It's here, right? And then on top of that, I think it won't be long until we get some big political leaders. We already see it in the campaign donations with Trump. And I mean, soon somebody's going to wise up and circumvent the banking system and successfully operate with simply crypto. And so that's going to end it for today's show, though. I wanted to give you more of our thoughts and detailed synopsis of what we had there in Bitcoin Nashville. We're excited for Bitcoin Las Vegas coming here. We're gonna really, really deliver that. We're gonna be like the crown jewel here, man. Everybody's gonna want to hang out with Sin City Crypto in the next conference, and it's only like 10 months away, or 10 months away, and so it's right around the corner, and it's gonna probably be right at the top of the bull market as well. And so if you look,
it's gonna be bigger, even bigger than this one. Yeah, I think it's gonna be
this. I think this one's gonna be the absolute game changer, and it's in Las Vegas, man. We do everything big. We're gonna have the biggest speakers. It's gonna be at the Sands Expo at the Venetian.
We're gonna have a new president at that point. Whoever it's gonna be, so it's gonna. I don't see why they won't. Whoever is gonna win, come over and maybe support the.
Well, I don't know. If Kamala wins, I don't think she's gonna go.
I don't know. There is too much money to be lost. Then even they already tried to change their mental. I don't know. Hopefully. I don't know.
That said, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back tomorrow. And until next time, thank you and take care, guys.
Ciao a tutti. Beh, finger tornado.
Sin City Crypto. Cassius Cuvée. Yeah. Sin City Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon, then to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the